Good morning, good evening, good whatever time it is for you. You're back with Mr. Berger, and I'm going to be playing some more Clash Royale. It's a rainy night tonight in Humboldt, and I'm happy to get started. So what I want to do tonight is a little bit different from what I've done so far. First of all, I'm definitely happy with where the channel's gone. You know, I've gotten a few subscribers. My buddies have left some nice comments. I appreciate that, guys. You know, if you guys have any input, go ahead and let me know what you think. I'm definitely up for some constructive criticism. I want to make improvements and make sure that this channel goes in the right direction. So go ahead and leave some comments if you have any opinions, you know, ideas, anything like that. So that being said, I want to do something a little bit different tonight. One thing that I've noticed so far is that my videos are definitely pretty lengthy, and that's because I like to talk a lot. So I would like to do one that's a little bit shorter tonight. One advantage of having the lengthy videos is you can kind of skim through them and skip through them, especially that one that I did recently with the terminology. I'm really happy with that video. It is like 50 minutes long, but I included a whole lot of things that I really wanted to say and that I really wanted to talk about. Anyway, the advantage of it is that I have a little bit of an outline at the beginning as well as in the description, so you can kind of skim through it and know what you're looking for if you want to look for like archetypes or more specific terminology or anything like that. So what I want to do today is kind of like outline, you know, talk about, how could I say this? Showcase is the word I used in my other video. I like that word. Showcase this deck that I'm currently running on my main account. My main account, it was at 4290. Of course, I dropped back down. Such is the game. That's how you play. You win some, you lose some. Anyway, I've been running this deck for a little bit. It is a Hog Poison deck. Now you can actually see the deck in the top left hand corner here, as well as in the Clash Royale display on the left side. I'm getting more comfortable with the software that I'm using. I really like OBS, which is what I'm using to record my videos and create my layout. I use a few other things to, you know, set up the layout for the pictures and things like that, but that's what I use to set up the whole main layout. It's great. It's awesome software. I highly recommend it. They're not paying me anything to say that. I just think it's cool. So if you guys are interested in it, check it out. On the top left there, I have a deck that I'm going to be running today. When I showcase certain decks, I'm going to try to do this in the future. I know that Clash with Ash does this, and I'm sure that a lot of other YouTubers do this, where they actually have the deck screenshotted and pasted somewhere in their layout. And I know that that's really useful, so I'm going to go ahead and continue to try to do that. So let's go ahead and jump into some replays here. Now this is the replay. Well, before we do the replays, let's talk about the specific cards. This is the replay that I used to break my trophy record. I think it got me up to 4290. So we're going to pause it right at the beginning here and talk about the cards. Now, first things first, we got our Ice Spirit in the top left-hand corner. Ice Spirit is really stable for any cycle deck. He's the cheap card. He only costs 1. He's really good at countering cheap stuff like minions, goblins, goblin horde. You know, there's a ton of things that you can use him against. And he's very vital because he gives you a lot of potential for positive elixir trades because he's so cheap. Now, as I talk about these cards, let's talk about potential replacements. He doesn't have many replacements, but if you want to keep it cheap and keep it as a cycle deck, then you could replace him with like skeletons or bats or something cheap like that. Now, how do I know if I'm running a cycle deck? Well, you look at like basically your cheapest cards. Ideally, you want 2 or more cards that cost 2 or less elixir. I've heard that it's your deck cycles as fast as your 2 cheapest cards. I might be misquoting somebody. It might be the 3 cheapest. But anyway, if you look here, I've got Ice Spirits and my second card, which is Zap. And both of those cost only 1 and 2 elixir, which falls into the category of 2 or less. The total deck cost on the top there is only 2.9, which is pretty cheap. There are cycle decks that are, you know, like 2.3, 2.4, potentially even less. But 2.9 is still pretty cheap. Now, Zap. Zap is really good right now. It's in the meta because of things like bats. You know, it interrupts Sparky, it interrupts Inferno Dragon, it interrupts Inferno Tower. A lot of Inferno Dragon and bats out there. A lot of Skeleton Barrel out there. Zap's good against that too. You definitely could replace it with Log. I was running Log for a while, and I love the Log. The main reason I'm running Zap now is because I recently upgraded my Zap on my main account to level 12. And when you're running Zap in ladder, the interactions are a little bit different. You know, Log is a legendary, so there's only, you know, such a big difference between each level because there's only 5 levels. However, with Zap, let's say you're running it in Tournament Standard. It's going to be level 9 because all commons are level 9. if you zap their minions or minion horde, it'll get them down to about half health, or a little bit below. Enough for your Princess Tower to one-shot those minions, but it won't fully kill them. Same thing with goblins. It'll almost kill goblins, it'll kill spear goblins, but it won't quite kill those goblins. So if they goblin barrel your Princess Tower, and you zap their goblins, it won't quite kill them. And they'll still get a little bit of damage off on your Princess Tower. Now let's say that your zap is one level higher. Like me, I'm running this zap in ladder. So my zap's level 12. Let's say I'm going up against a level 11 goblin gang, or level 11 goblin barrel, or just goblins. It'll instantly kill those level 11 goblins. So he goblin barrels my Princess Tower, I just zap it for 2 and instantly kill it. It's a positive trade for me, and he gets no damage off on it. Now with minions, it's a little bit different. They got to be 2 levels lower. So my zap at level 12 will instantly kill level 10 minions, but won't kill level 11 or 12 minions. Now let's move on to the next card, which is the Knight. Knight, I love him. He's my first max level card. You can see him in the top right corner of my layout as well. He's a little bit of a, I would call him a mini tank, as I described him in my last video. He could be replaced with pretty much the Ice Golem. That's like the major replacement. I guess you could put like Bandit or Miner or something that's a similar cost and is relatively tanky, because they cost, both of those cost 3. But Knight and Ice Golem are kind of like your primary mini tank for most cycle decks. After that, you have the Hog. Infamous Hog. He's your win condition. Now, of course, you could run a different win condition. I mean, I'm just looking at this deck, glancing at it right now. I feel like you could toss a Mortar or a Giant or, you know, even a Ram or an Expo or a bunch of different things in there in the place of the Hog, but that completely changes the archetype of the deck. I'm focusing on Hog Poison today. That's kind of the main theme of this deck, as well as this whole Tornado Ice Wizard thing that I'll talk about in a little bit. So if you want to run another win condition, that's totally fine, but it's going to completely change the playstyle of this deck. Hog is a great win condition. He's good at all levels. I would highly recommend playing him for beginner, intermediate, and even advanced players. But if you're advanced, you'll know all about him already. Tornado. Tornado is a great card. It plays a lot of different roles. It's one of my favorite cards in the game, alongside with the Knight. So the main thing it does in this deck is it kind of plays as your defensive card. So that being said, you could potentially replace it with like a cannon or an Inferno Tower or something like that, like a building. Why would you do it with a building? Well, you place buildings kind of in the center of your side of the arena when they send in their Hog or their Giant, something that hits buildings only. And that deters them, you know, kind of detours them to the middle, that's the word I was looking for, to the center of the map. Allows both of your Princess Towers to hit them. And, you know, kills them essentially before they can get to one of your Princess Towers. If it doesn't kill them, it's very effective. It does a bunch of damage. The Tornado has a similar effect, because rather than causing them to run towards the center and chase a tower or run after a tower, it just pulls them towards the center. It also synergizes really well with the Ice Spirit and the Ice Wizard. Also, both your spells, looking at it, the Zap, you know, Tornado and Zap will instantly kill goblins and minions no matter what level. Tornado and Ice Spirit's really good. Tornado and Ice Wizard works wonders. Of course, you can Tornado everything into your poison, so it works well with a lot of things in this particular deck. Poison, you place your Hog down, you put your poison down, they put down their skeleton armor, your goblin gang or something to counter your Hog, but you've already got your poison there. It clears out the way for your Hog, basically. It also counters things like if they counter your Hog with a wizard or a musketeer, the poison will slowly eat away at that wizard or musketeer before it can get to your side of the bridge. And then you can always zap it to finish it off, or, you know, just kill it with the Knight or something when it gets there. The Ice Wizard is great. You could replace him with a lot of different support cards. He synergizes really well with the Tornado, though, which is one of the main reasons I have him in here. He's also cheap. He only costs 3, so he works great in a cycle decks. He slows stuff. He's not too tanky, but he's a little bit tankier than most other 3-cost ranged units, if there are any. I'm not going to look at the whole deck list right now, or look at the whole card list right now. You could replace him with, like, Archers. That's a great replacement. Still could run Tornado. Musketeer. Electro Wizard. A lot of different things like that. Now, let's talk about guards. You could definitely run this as a more cycle deck by replacing guards with bats or skeletons. I was definitely running bats for a while, and I was running Executioner in the place of the Ice Wizard. But that was when I was running Hog Lightning, not Hog Poison, before Lightning got nerfed twice. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. Guards are really good because they got really powerfully buffed in one of the recent balance changes. They got like 3 buffs. So I'm running guards right now because they're cheap. They play a similar role to skeletons and bats. There's a few of them. They're a little bit swarmy. They got good DPS. You know, they're good all around. Not only that, but their shield mechanic is pretty awesome. If you send them in with your hog, they can just zap your bats. If you're running bats or skeletons or goblins, they zap that or log that. But if you send them in with your hog, then they'll have the shield that absorbs the zap or the log or whatever, and then they'll still be running in and potentially get off that extra few hits, or those extra few hits with the hog. Now, I've talked enough about this deck. Let's get into some replays here. This first battle, as I mentioned, was from a while back. I don't know why he's angry. Maybe because he's got fiery diarrhea. His name is Diarrhea Fulminea. Somebody who speaks Spanish much more fluently can explain to me exactly what that means, but I imagine it means something along the lines of fiery diarrhea. So he starts with the princess in the back. I like to cycle out, and I don't play a hog right away generally because then they can counter it right away. So I cycle out with my Ice Spirit. And I got to play defense at first. I don't do great. You can see an example of what I was talking about with the guards. He logged and they still lived. Now here's an example of the poison. I missed his tower with the poison. That was a really bad play on my part. I placed it 1 spot too low, which is something I do from time to time. Regardless, my hog got a ton of swings off on his tower. It's got like less than half health now. It also got a few hits off on those goblins. You can see that I used the Ice Spirit to its full potential because I only spend 1 elixir to kind of counter his goblin gang, which costs him 3. Now it doesn't fully shut it down. The spear goblins get a few hits off, but that's not a big deal. I'm willing to take a couple spear goblins and goblin hits at the beginning of the game like this when my tower has a bunch of health. So he's sending the hog in. What I want to try to do, one of the best things to do with the tornado, and I should have mentioned this earlier, is pull it into your king tower. Now, I didn't place the tornado very well. That was a bad play on my part. If I had pulled it a little bit closer to my king tower, my main tower at the bottom there with my king in it, then it would actually activate the king tower early before it should have. And he'll jump into the fight. He'll continually do extra damage. I'm going to pause for a second here. He'll continually do extra damage, extra DPS. This is really important. It's a really good tactic. And I'll probably reiterate it in other videos. Because he'll be shooting while the 2 princess towers are shooting. So they send in their hog. You tornado it into your king tower. It activates the king tower. From then on for the rest of the game, you tornado the hogs or whatever they have into the center of the arena, center of your side of the map. And your king tower and your 2 princess towers will all 3 be shooting at it, which gives you way more DPS, way more damage than just the 2 princess towers. Now that's a really important strategy. We can see that I got a successful hog on the right here. He tried to counter it with an Inferno tower, which is a great counter, but it was a little bit too late, so my hog gets off a bunch of swings on the right tower here. Now let's get back into the replay. He's got a princess going, so I counter it with some guards just to kind of get rid of it. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can answer a princess at the bridge. You just need something to give it a couple quick swings. Ideally something that can run up and smack it before she, you know, shoots it before your opponent can play something else to counter your counter. I don't know why he's doing the angry face. Sometimes people just spam emotes for whatever reason. Alright, let's see what I do here. I'm going to try to pull the hog into the center as I was talking about. I could have tried to pull it into the king tower there, but I think I wanted to play it a little bit more safely. I'm not sure what I was thinking. Maybe it just wasn't the best plan on my part. At this point, I've got a tower down, so I want to kind of be playing defense. What I mean is I've got one of his towers down, so I want to try to be playing defense. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense, though. If you have a cycle deck, you can put a lot of pressure on them, which causes them to react and not be able to build up whatever their strategy or whatever their win condition might be. Now I'm going to tornado this hog, most likely. You can see it in my hand. Yep, there it goes. Completely shuts down that hog. Alright, let's see what happens here. I know that this is a pretty close match, because I recall it being a really good one, and it's the one that put me over the edge, which is one of the reasons I wanted to showcase this replay. Okay, let's see. It's not looking so great for me right here. But I know, of course, obviously I spoiled it. I do manage to come back. Let's see, what do I do? Well, I tornado that hog again. I also get all those skeletons in. See how it completely shuts down that skeleton army? So that's 4 elixir for the hog, 3 for the skeleton army, which is 7 altogether, and I shut all that down with just 3 with my tornado. So tornado is an awesome card. I send in the hog, I poison next to it, so as his skeletons are running up, they just die right next to that hog. So again, his skeleton army is countered, this time with the poison. I got tornado back in hand, he can never get a hog off. That's like the 3rd or 4th hog in a row that I've shut down with my tornado. So the tornado is really effective. Hogs are everywhere, they're all over the place, so tornado is a great counter to them, and it also counters other cards very well. Now let's see, do I pull this off? Well, of course I do, I already told you that I do, but how do I do it? Well, I chip away with that poison at the very end there. He doesn't have anything in hand quite to finish me off. He's angry, I understand, I probably would be too, and that is the end of that first match. Alright. Let's go ahead and scroll on down here. I want to watch some more recent matches. Now this next one, I'm going to share it just for the sake of sharing it and talking about it. It's not the best match because it's not exactly fair. He's only level 10 and his cards are a little bit lower level. You'll see that. Now that being said, just because you're lower level, especially at this higher rating, I mean I'm not super high rating, but I'm above 4,000. I'm in leagues, which is, you know, decent. I'm at okay rating. At this higher level rating, you might have players that are only like level 10 or 11, lower account level, but they could have invested all their gold into specific cards and gotten really high level. Like, look at that giant, it's level 10 rare. I'm level 12 on my account, and I don't even have a level 10 rare at all. My highest is my hog and my wizard, and they're level 9. I've almost got a level 10, but not quite there yet. So he, rather than spending a lot of gold on a lot of different cards to get them to mediocre levels, which is kind of like something I did, he invested a lot in like his giant, which is similar to what I'm doing on my alt account, because I know the rules of the game now. But on my main account, I like playing around, trying a lot of different things. Now let's get back in the game here. I pulled his miner into my king tower with the tornado. That's exactly what I was talking about with those hogs. You can do it with a miner too. It's very effective. I send in my hog on the left, and I'm probably going to try to cycle with it. I send in the Ice Spirit to kind of support it a little bit. It gets off like 1 or 2 swings there. If a hog can get off 1 swing, that's really good. I mean, that's decent. It's good, right? We'll say it's good, not really good. If you can get off more than 1 swing, then that's really good. 1 swing is successful. You know, you get a hog across the river and it smacks the tower, that's good. Now, he's running Skeleton Barrel. It is only level 8, so although he's got really high level giant, his hunter's only level 2, which is really low for an epic. And, well, really low for any card, honestly, other than a legendary at this level. His Skeleton Barrel's only, what was it, 8, like I was just saying. It's a little bit of a slow pace here. I don't like Bleeding Elixir, which is when you have full Elixir and you don't spend on anything. I just feel like that's a bad strategy, but, you know, I do see a lot of people do that at certain times, and it is successful. So, let's see, I defend right. Don't need much defense on the left because that's pretty much taken care of. Now, those bats can do a ton of damage, so I opt to tornado them. It also pulls the giant away. I could have pulled them towards the center, and that would have been more effective, but, you know, it's kind of one of those, you know, in the heat of the moment decisions. My hog left again. He's always going to be forced to respond to that hog. I poison just to chip away at the tower. It also kills all those goblins, which, you know, that's, what is it, 2 elixir that he spent that I killed with my poison. And it damages the knight, which brings her lower, easier to deal with. At this point, I pretty much want to be playing defense. Again, that being said, sometimes the best defense is a good offense, especially when you're running a cycle deck, because you can continually try to out-cycle their win condition, or their build-up, or their push, or whatever they might have. And then they'll never get a chance to play their offense, or successfully play their strong offense. At this point, I was wondering, can I squeeze in the second tower in the last 4 seconds, 3 seconds? Yes, I actually get it. It's Gold Rush. I'm in the last couple hours of Gold Rush, so I was pretty happy I got that. He's angry. I understand. I'd probably be angry too if I was playing somebody with a lot higher level cards. I often am, if that's the case. But, you know, he got that high. He got up to like 4,200 some on a level 10 account. So props to him. He must be pretty good. And, you know, we all have rough games. I know that right after that match, I faced another level 10. And, man, I just got stomped. I just wasn't ready for their win condition because it was kind of an off-meta deck. Something I don't see a whole lot. And I'm not even going to share that replay because that would be embarrassing, losing to a level 10 that badly. I did double time here out of habit because that's usually how I run them when I'm watching them by myself. So let's get back in here. This is versus a level 11, so it's a little bit more of a fair match. You know, again, levels don't mean too much at this point, but it does give you an advantage because all your towers have more health and do more damage. And you're more likely to have higher level cards, but that's not always the case. So it looks like this is kind of like a Hog NATO deck that I'm going up against. I Hog on the left there. I know that I run Hog and Tornado in my deck, but this one kind of highlights that more. You could also call it a Hog Lightning deck because he's running Lightning, similar to what I was running before they nerfed Lightning. The whole Hog Tornado thing is really good. Depending on your support, it's even better. He's running Executioner, which is a really heavy, expensive support card, but it's a really strong, powerful one. It lives through Lightning and Fireball and a bunch of things that other support cards might not. It synergizes with Tornado really well. You tornado their whole enemy army, and you got an Executioner down, and it just tears through them. I gotta probably try to save my Tornado for his Hog, but I don't have it in cycle right there, so I opt to just, you know, use what I can. And that allows his bowler to get some damage off on the left, which isn't good for me, but not too bad. I mean, actually, that was pretty bad. It's like 1,000 damage, which isn't good. But, you know, I'll come back. I'll manage. Okay, I send in the Knight with the Hog. That's good because the Knight tanks for the Hog. Now, this is what costed him this game. He tried to tornado my Hog into his King Tower, even though it was already activated. That's a bad move. He should have tornadoed it into the middle of his side of the arena. Anyway, he missed the Hog completely, so it doesn't matter. He managed to pull my Knight over, but my Hog just wailed away on his tower and just tore through it, you know. I know I've been using the word annihilated a lot, so I'll try to come up with some better synonyms. Eradicated it. Now look at the value of that Ice Spirit right there. One Ice Spirit, one Elixir just stunned 3 of his heavy units and did damage to all of them, so that was pretty good. I'm going to try to apply pressure. Look at how effective this Tornado Ice Wizard combo is. I pull his stuff into the center, I AoE all of it with my Ice Wizard and slow them down, which allows my Princess Tower and my King Tower, as I was talking about earlier, allows those things to kill this off. Now I have Tornado in cycle, so I'm probably going to Tornado here again. At this point I'm just playing defense, as I mentioned, because I've got 1 tower. I'm not even going to try to go for 2. Because I just want to, you know, live through the end here. And he almost gets me. He gets my tower down to 300 health. Now, I really want to talk about how it can be really frustrating at higher rating arena. And again, I'm not very high. I'm just decent, but I'm, you know, 4K and above. Because, well, a number of reasons. One of the things that can be really frustrating is that, well, the higher level cards, the level disparity, all kinds of things. So what I was talking about, one of the most frustrating things is that if you slip up once, you can make one little mistake that can cost you the whole game. That's what's happened to that guy there, pretty much, is that he missed his Tornado and that pretty much cost him the game. And I just had to play defense. And you saw he almost got me at the end there. He got my tower down to like 300 health. So he probably would have won the game if he hadn't slipped up and missed that Tornado, but that pretty much cost him the game, just that one little bad placement. Now I know this video is not exactly going to turn out to be a short one, so I'll continue to work on making shorter videos, but anyway, it's doing a great job so far showcasing this deck. This is going to be the last replay that I go through here. It's hopefully the most balanced match because it's actually against another level 12, rather than, you know, only a level 11 or a level 10 or whatever it is. Now, I kind of don't react too well here. I don't want to say panicked, but I didn't react as well as I possibly could. I'd get a little bit of damage off of my tower here when I could have spent Elixir a little bit quicker and countered a little bit better. Regardless, you got to make do with what you do. You know, sometimes you're in the battle and you're not like thinking exactly what the best thing you can do is. You're just trying to react to make sure that your tower doesn't die. I don't have to do too much about the Skeleton Barrel because it doesn't even get to the tower. My Ice Wizard does good work of that. Alright. Look at me fail with this Miner pull. I tried to pull the Miner into my main King Tower to activate it, but I kind of messed that one up. He put it in a really good spot where it can't quite get pulled into the King Tower. You know, just on like the further side of my tower, my Princess Tower. So I kind of wasted my Elixir on that, but you know, it's alright. We all make mistakes. Now I gotta do something about the Skeleton Barrel. I got Zap in hand. Gotta make sure I don't zap too early. See, it takes a second for the skeletons to land. They don't land right when the Skeleton Barrel blows up. they land like a second later. So since it's a relatively new card at this point, and it was off meta for a little while before they added that death damage, it's still definitely off meta, but you're starting to see it more and more. Actually, I shouldn't say it's off meta, it's actually pretty popular now. Anyway, what I was getting at is people are still kind of learning how to counter it properly. You got to keep in mind that the skeletons take a second to drop. They don't drop right away like a goblin barrel or something like that. What else? A cannon cart, you know, after it dies, after the mobile part of it dies, it drops right away and it's immediately there. So if you zap too early or log too early, you're just going to completely miss those skeletons. So you don't want to make that mistake. So here, I just use my Ice Wizard to counter his army here. I got to react quick. Look at the power of that tornado. He had a huge army coming in, but there's a bunch of kind of weak units, like flimsy, weakish, low HP units. So I tornado them. My Ice Wizard and my Knight do work. The Ice Wizard, Knight, and Tornado are like your major defensive cards, and they're great. They're really good. Of course, your other troop cards, you know, your guards play a role in there definitely as well. Your guards are great against certain things, and you know, you got your Ice Spirit for positive elixir traits. But that trio, the Ice Wizard, the Knight, and the Tornado, can shut down so many things. Ice Wizard takes the place of Archers. That's kind of more classic for Musketeer. Archers and Tornado and Knight is also really good. Now it's a pretty close match here. I'm going to send in my Knight with the double, my Hog Rider with the double Knights. See if it gets a swing off. Yes, it does, and that pretty much wins me the game at this point. I can just poison out his tower because it's low enough. I zap at the end there just for style, to look cool, just to make sure that everything is taken care of. And that there, ladies and gentlemen, was my showcase of Hog Poison with a little bit of a twist on it. Now keep in mind, this deck can be altered for a few things. Go ahead and double check if you have some questions about card replacements, especially if you're missing that legendary. This is one legendary that's very replaceable in this particular deck. You can put in a lot of different support options for that, depending on how you want to play. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Stay tuned for more. I'm definitely going to try to keep this up because I'm getting a good little following, and I enjoy it. You know, it's something that I really love. I love this game. I love teaching. I love sharing strategy and talking games with people, so this is a perfect outlet for that. So thank you, and have a good night. Have a good day. Catch you next time.